Hey, it's Mazzy on International Women's Day. This is March 8th, 2024, and I wanted to showcase artists. I picked five independent women, indie women, if you will. Now, whenever I do these sorts of videos, I get a lot of comments. You forgot Linda Ronstadt. You forgot Joni Mitchell. You forgot Aretha Franklin. You forgot Bjork. There's so many wonderful women in music and in my collection here. In all the different genres, from soul to jazz to rock to pop to dance music, pretty much everything. Like men, women are in every single genre. But I decided to pick five indie artists that I go back to time and time again and listen to these records. And I picked just to showcase maybe two or three records of each artist. And some of you may know some of these, and I bet you there's at least one or two that may be new to you, depending on your taste. And I think the bulk of these are artists that came around from the 90s into the 2000s, in that period, like as early as 92, 93, all the way into the 2010s. And in no particular order. Some of you will know, and I think this is an important record to start with, and this is Exile in Guyville by Liz Phair. This is a no holds barred talk about sexuality and a wonderful record by Liz Phair. In essence, it's sort of a song by song, somewhat response to the Rolling Stones' "Exile on Main Street," and it's about independence and sexuality, and it's the kind of songs that we're used to from the guy's point of view, literally. And this was such an important album. I think this was 1993 or two on Matador Records. This came out, and this was a breakthrough record for Liz Phair. Now, again, indie levels of sales. We're not talking about sales wise. We're talking about the music here, and just there's a certain dryness to this record, and it's just a great record. This is an anniversary edition that came out some years ago, that has expanded with some demos and outtakes. But the song right here that really got a lot of indie commotion, I guess you call it, is a song called "Fucking Run," about being this young girl and being, very open and sexual and talking about it. Like, again, the typical male, in theory, dominance of sexuality, which is kind of bullshit. But this is a wonderful record. And I just wanted to show one more. This is from 1998. So this is a later record. This is White Chocolate Space Egg, another wonderful record. Now, she lost her way in a way. She gets signed to Capitol Records at one point as a pop album when the whole girl group pop individual artists were going out, and it really kind of fell flat. And interesting record. But I really respect her as an artist, and just, again, no holds barred, and I just love Liz Phair. Next is an artist that I've been into, I think, since the late 80s. This goes back a little earlier, and I've showcased her several times on my channel, and I am an all-in fan of Sam Phillips. Sam Phillips, not to be confused with, obviously, Sun Records, male producer, Elvis Presley, Sam Phillips. She started out as a Christian artist, and this was her debut on Virgin Records. I'm thinking 1988, this says. Produced by T-Bone Burnett, who was her then husband. And T-Bone Burnett, I think, produced most of her great records. A really wonderful run of fantastic records, first on Virgin. Then she went on to Nonsuch and did some indie records since. Out of LA, most recently, or at least in the last 10, 15 years, I think she did the score and the music for the Gilmore Girls TV show. But she's got this beautiful, wonderful voice, and this record especially started it off. She's got a lot of Beatle influences and jangly guitar stuff. T-Bone's production really suits her. But on here, there's one of the most beautiful songs, "What Do I Do?" Lush orchestration, and it's one of my favorite songs ever of any record, of any artist. It's just the beauty of that song. It's just very majestic. But there's a lot of wonderful, pop music, a la Beatles, and that sound on here. Probably all around her best album, I would say, is this wonderful record, Martinis and Bikinis, also produced by T-Bone Burnett, wonderful, fanciful covers by the photographer Jeff Kern out of Texas. I just love this. And because of this record, because of this photograph, I've said this before, that photograph, the director of Die Hard, I think it's 3, the Bruce Willis film with Jeremy Irons, hired her basically without an audition to play sort of the Eastern European second in command spy. So look at that movie. She hardly says a word in that film, and she's this LA girl. But what a wonderful record. Again, there's a song on here called, is it Strawberry Road, I think it's called. Strawberry Road, yeah, which is so Beatlesque. Very pop again. Beautiful record, dry recordings, wonderful arrangements. And then this, I just wanted to show one more because this one, I believe, might have been the last one that T-Bone produced. This is a wonderful record in a different realm. This is where T-Bone gets more crunchy in his organic, around the time or a little after Old Brother Where Art Thou when he recorded that record. So they're more acoustic, different stringed instruments and percussive sounds. And it's like a Mitchell Froom with Los Lobos a little bit in that realm. Or it's so organic, it's so ethereal, and it's just a really beautiful, haunting record. Maybe that's the word I'm thinking of, called Fan Dance. I just love the sound of this record. Again, this was on Nonesuch. This came out in 2001, and the vinyl, I think, first came out in 2020, so you might be able to still find this. So that's Sam Phillips. Now, another artist that I try to champion once in a while, and this is an artist, whenever I've tried to turn people onto her, people get it, and some people don't get it. British artist, lived in the Southwest. I believe she's in Oregon now. She's not playing music. I think she's an astrologer, and I'm a huge fan. I saw her beginning in 2005, and her records started a year or two before that, and that's Scout Niblet. Steve Albini produced a couple of her albums, and she's got, I'd say she's the most indie of all these indie artists. She plays drums, bass, guitar, and she has this almost like screaming vocal thing, and she can sound like also like a little child, a young girl, with her low key thing. But then she'll do these drum sounds. I remember playing this for my buddy when we worked together in the office, and he just couldn't stand it because her drums sometimes are very offbeat, and it's not the point of the record. She does some great songs. There's an EP out, which I don't have here, with a cover of her doing Just What I Needed, the Cars version. So look for Scout Niblet, Just What I Needed cover, and it's a wonderful, wonderful version on it. This is What I Choose here. I Am Scout Niblet. Here's just a couple others just to give you an idea. Again, there's a very surrealness to her, but her music is very disjointed, very, I'd say, angular, harsh at times. She'll jam out and get really kind of loud, but it's not like heavy metal loud. She'll play the bass and guitar very, heavy pedals and fuzz tones, and she'll sort of scream and above it in a really kind of a lovely way. This album came with a single that just fell out. Oh, Just Do It, 45. Oh, this is the 45, Just What I Needed. I don't remember if this came with this now. Now I'm misremembering this. But the song on here, which is an amazing song, which I just love, called Dinosaur Egg on this, and it's on this record. I love that song, Scout Niblet. And just to show you a couple other covers, in a way, this really emulates what her record sounds like. She sounds like she could be a welder. She sings like, very independent, very uncommercial, but I think it's really kind of accessible in an interesting way. So Scout Niblet, just her name, she actually sounds like her name. It's up to Emma Scout Niblet, the British expatriate who lives in and around Portland, Oregon now. Here's another one of her records. I'm all in on Scout Niblet. Just love her. Sometimes there'll be like this cheerleader chant in some of her songs. If that didn't make you at least interested in checking her out, I don't know what else will. Not for everyone out there, not for all the viewers. Next, I want to talk about Joanna Newsom. I'm a huge fan of this woman. This is amongst one of my favorite albums of the last 25 years. This came out in 2005, I believe, and 2006 on Drag City Records. This was a double album with this beautiful painting. Young woman with this very high-pitched voice. So if you don't like the stylings of, say, a Kate Bush or something, but hers is even more of a soprano. And she's essentially like a folk singer, like a neoclassical Renaissance folk singer. She plays the harp beautifully. But what's wonderful about this are the arrangements, the elongated folk. There's one song with Bill Callahan, who does a vocal on it as well, Smog, his moniker. But this record was co-produced by Joanna Newsom and Van Dyke Parks. Of course, Van Dyke Parks collaborated with the Beach Boys and so many other artists, who's one of the great arrangers and conductors. And he brings these wonderful orchestral backgrounds to some of the harp pieces here. The harp and vocals were recorded by Steve Albini first, and Joanna and Van Dyke Parks put together all the overlap orchestration. A fantastic album called YS. I don't know if that's the name on it. I got into her around 2005 from her first album, and then I got into this, and I've been there all the way in. Love her records. Joanna Newsom here. I have some of her records on compact discs. I have some of her records on vinyl. This is Divers. This is also a beautiful album, but I think this is definitely my favorite album. I know this is my favorite album. And again, not someone who is really an artist for the masses. These are probably niche audiences for these indie artists. I mean, that's pretty much what indie means, right? But beautiful music she makes. Lastly is probably the most famous of these 5 artists I'm showcasing today, and that's PJ Harvey. I know I bring her up a lot, and this is the one that probably most people know of, Polly Jean Harvey, is that it? And these are 3 of my favorite PJ Harvey records. This one, To Bring You My Love, was pretty much her first solo record after her first 2. This is, I believe, her 3rd record. And this is really beautiful. This is a little more bluesy than usual. And this is the first one where she collaborates with this engineer, producer into electronics, Flood, as well as John Parrish. And the 3 of them have been working together pretty much on and off since, but mostly on, doing wonderful collaborations. And I think she is one of the most interesting, creative artists that really gets into different types of intensity. Sometimes she's very low-key, folky. She plays multi-instruments. She plays piano and guitars and saxophones. And there's a really kind of again, as I said, a wonderful folksy, bluesy sound to this album. This album, Stories from the City, Stories from the Sea. Some people call this her New York record when she was spending time in New York, although I believe a lot of the songs were written in London. So it could be about any city possibly, but this is obviously a little different. This is a wonderful record as well. And I think my favorite album of hers and her most overt political record, and this came out in 2010, and this is Let England Shake. And anti-war record, a political record. She was reading a lot of books of World War II, historic books of World War I as well, and history of England and wars and the various wars that were going on in the Middle East and in Afghanistan at the time. This is an intense record, but it's a really, really just direct record. I just love the sound of this record. I love Let England Shake, that opening. And when you go through and listening to the demos of this one especially, when they did this reissue program over the last several years, she also released companion records that have the demos. And this, to me, is the one most jarring or most interesting, where some people say, I don't need to hear the demos, I just want the proper album. I totally get that. But this one, the demos, she used these other recordings and made loops and created loops and worked with different lyrics on those. and then brought her musicians and herself in to emulate and to play the music on this record. Songs like England in Dark Places, The Words That Maketh Murder, just this glorious land, an intensely beautiful and important record. I'm one that like when certain artists, they take a stand, they do something politically. It might not be commercially as accessible to some people. However, I think musically this is very commercial in a way, and it has just a great sound. To me, this is the most intense, and not always musically intense, but just emotionally and subject matter. Let England Shake by PJ Harvey. So those are 5 women that I just felt like showcasing. And yes, there are literally hundreds and thousands of women I didn't include today because I only decided to pick 5 women. And so for International Women's Day, thank you for watching. Mazzy loves you.